Sophia holds the gun tight. It is still hot. Smoke hangs in the air above table 4. The shot was deafening just a second ago. Now, silence is worse. The bullet went through the man's eye. He slides off the wall like old paint. 8 gunmen are frozen. They didn't expect the waitress to be the killer. Leo, the mafia boss, stares down at his empty holster. His own gun. He watches Sophia's breathing. It is too steady. She is not a waitress. She just killed his most dangerous enemy. The one who almost got him. The blood is spreading on the pristine white tablecloth. It is still a beautiful scene. The gunmen start to move. Sophia raises the gun again. The fight has just begun. Leo is a problem. He is 33 and runs everything from the docks to the high-rise offices. He controls the entire coastal trade. He inherited the whole thing from his father, and he runs it clean. Too clean, some people say. But he is still a murderer. Leo is handsome, yes, but the expensive suit just hides the muscle and the violence. His tattoos, they are maps of his past. He comes to La Maria every Thursday night. It's his spot. It means the tide. The Italian restaurant feels like a second home in his US city. It is always safe here. He eats the same thing. He sits at the same corner table. This is his ritual. He comes here for one reason, Sophia. Sophia is the waitress. She is always there, always moving. She is young, maybe 22. She has that quiet strength you see in people who never complain. She never smiles. She never talks about herself. She is the only thing that feels normal in Leo's life. He knows her name. That is all he needs. Tonight, something is different. Tonight, normal died. Leo walked through the glass doors. He felt the shift immediately. His skin crawled. This place was supposed to be his armor. But the armor was cracked. He is not a man who feels fear. He feels calculations. His 2 bodyguards, Marco and Johnny, walked beside him. They were big, silent, and worried. They felt it too. Johnny's hand kept tapping his pocket. That meant trouble. Leo stopped near the bar. The usual warm lighting was flickering. It was weak, almost sick. He hated broken things. He looked toward table 12. That table was always reserved for the old Italian family who owned the building. They were always there. Tonight, the table was empty. This was a bad sign. A very bad sign. That family would not miss a Thursday. Leo moved to his corner table. He sat down and his eyes tracked the room. No one was laughing loud enough. The silence was thick, heavy. He scanned the familiar faces. They looked too casual. Like actors on a stage. He looked for Sophia. She moved fast, clearing a plate. Her movements were stiff. She was actively avoiding his eyes. She never did that. Usually, she just glided past him. She was an expert at being invisible. Now, she was trying too hard to disappear. Leo knew tension. It was the air he breathed. This was not tension. This was a clock ticking down to 0. He ordered his usual wine. A heavy Italian red. Marco stood behind him, close to the wall. Johnny stood near the kitchen door. Perfect coverage. Leo felt the cold anxiety from his men. They were tense. He lifted his glass. The wine smelled like rich earth. He brought the glass to his lips. That was the moment they moved. The first shadow appeared in the main doorway. Then another. Then 8. Leo didn't need to count. He just needed to react. They weren't random thugs. These men were placed with surgical precision. 1 by the bar. 2 by the back exit. 2 near the front windows. 3 near the kitchen. They had him perfectly boxed in. They moved like soldiers, not like low-level muscle. Leo dropped the wine glass. It didn't break. Too much adrenaline. Marco reached for his weapon. Too slow. The gunmen didn't shout. They didn't make demands. They just raised their weapons. This wasn't a warning. This was an execution. Leo reached for the handgun tucked into his waistband. It was a reflex. His hand moved like lightning. He could get 3 shots off before they neutralized him. That was the best-case scenario. But his hand meant nothing. Someone else was faster. Sophia was suddenly there. She wasn't serving pasta. She wasn't carrying water. Her hand was gripping the steel of his Beretta M9. She had stolen his gun from his holster without making a sound. He hadn't even felt her near. Leo stared at her face. It was completely blank. No fear. No surprise. Only focus. Before Leo could form a thought, before Marco could turn, before the gunmen could even squeeze their triggers, Sophia fired the gun. The sound ripped through the quiet room. It was unbelievably loud. It stopped all motion. She didn't shoot one of the gunmen. She shot the man standing near the front window. The leader. He was slightly taller than the others. He wore a simple dark jacket. The bullet hit him exactly where she aimed. Center mass. No hesitation. The man fell hard. The entire room went silent. Leo's eyes were locked on the body. Not the wound. Not the blood. He was looking at the man's face. He knew this man. He knew him instantly. That man was named Vincenzo. He was the head accountant for the most dangerous rival family in the country. Vincenzo was supposed to be safe. Locked in a high-security office 3 states away. He was the one man Leo could never touch. If Vincenzo was here, that meant one thing: the attack wasn't random. This was a highly coordinated internal hit. Leo looked back at Sophia. Her eyes were hard and terrifying. Vincenzo was the key, Leo whispered. He spoke in Italian. You know who he is. Sophia didn't blink. She kept the gun steady, aimed at the remaining gunman. The smoke from the barrel curled toward her face. He was, Sophia replied in perfect, ice-cold English. And you let him get too close. This was the revelation. This quiet waitress was a professional killer. She had saved Leo's life. But she had also killed the one man Leo desperately needed alive for questioning. He now owed his life to a stranger who had just destroyed his chance at finding the truth. The gunmen now focused entirely on her. They were waiting for their leader's command. But the leader was dead. The game was not just changed. The game was Sophia's now. Sophia didn't freeze. That was the first thing Leo noticed. Most people panic after the first shot. She just moved. The remaining 7 gunmen were stunned. They lost their leader, Vincenzo. That split-second confusion was all Sophia needed. She used Leo's giant table as cover. She fired 3 more rounds. Short, fast bursts. Not sprays. She was conserving ammunition. The shots were surgical. One man dropped, clutching his kneecap. Another fell, shot in the shoulder. Both were instantly neutralized. They couldn't aim back. Marco and Johnny finally reacted. But they were playing catch-up. They fired at the 4 men near the kitchen. The restaurant became a war zone. Glass shattered. Plates exploded. Sophia was already running. Not fleeing. Maneuvering. She dove behind the marble bar. She didn't look where she was going. She knew the layout. She knew the blind spots. Leo watched her reload his gun. She changed the magazine faster than his own men. This wasn't a waitress who got lucky. This was a professional. Within 90 seconds, it was over. 5 gunmen were dead. 2 were wounded and screaming. 1 escaped out the broken kitchen window. Leo's bodyguards, Marco and Johnny, stood panting. They were sweating. Sophia was breathing normally. She stood up behind the bar. She held the gun loosely. She looked like a kid waiting for the bus. You missed one, Leo said, pointing at the shattered window. His voice was low. Dangerous. He ran, Sophia replied. Her voice was flat. He is unimportant. The dead ones are the message. Leo slowly walked toward her. His expensive suit was covered in wine and blood splatter. This was a critical moment. He was surrounded by dead enemies and a quiet killer he didn't know. Who are you? Leo demanded. Sophia stepped over the dead body of Vincenzo. She looked down at him without emotion. I am the reason you are not dead. They moved to the restaurant owner's office. Leo locked the door. Marco stood guard outside, holding his assault rifle. Johnny was busy making sure the wounded stayed quiet. The office was small, filled with tax forms and the smell of old coffee. Leo sat behind the desk. Sophia stood in front of it. She still held his beretta. She would not put it down. Leo let her keep it. He wanted to see what she would do. She was young, yes. But her eyes were ancient. Dark skin, sharp cheekbones. She had been wearing a cheap black dress and a silly white apron. Now, The blood stain on the apron looked terrifying. Start talking, Leo ordered. About what? She asked. She was completely calm. Vincenzo. He was the ledger. He knew every dollar that moved. He was the accountant for the Gallo family. Why was he leading a hit squad on my territory? He wasn't leading it, Sophia corrected him. He was the target. You were the bonus. Leo leaned forward. This was new information. Explain that. The hit was messy. Too many shooters. Too much noise. If they wanted you dead, it would have been a single bullet, not a squad. They wanted a spectacle. They wanted humiliation. They wanted to prove you couldn't protect yourself. This hit Leo hard. Humiliation. That meant the traitor wasn't trying to take his spot. They were trying to ruin his reputation. A ruined reputation is worse than death in the family. Why kill Vincenzo? Vincenzo was going to expose the traitor. He was moving the numbers. He was changing the ledger. The traitor needed him quiet tonight, right here, under the cover of a massive hit on you. Leo gripped the edge of the desk. She was telling him the truth. Everything clicked into place. The empty table. The flickering lights. Vincenzo was lured here under false pretenses. They used Leo's usual routine to execute both of them. How do you know this? Leo asked. Sophia finally shifted her weight. She looked bored. You ask simple questions, Leo. That's why you're in trouble. She threw a small, folded piece of paper onto the desk. It was heavy, fine quality. Leo opened it. It was a recent bank statement. Not his. The Gallo family's. It detailed an enormous, unauthorized wire transfer. The amount was staggering. This is impossible, Leo breathed. This information is buried deep in a Cayman account. Only 3 people have access. Sophia smiled slightly. The first time he had seen her smile. It was chilling. 4 people, now, she said. Your problem isn't the Gallos. It's the man who gave Vincenzo the transfer codes for this money. The money wasn't stolen from the Gallos. It was stolen for them. Just then, the office door rattled. Marco's voice was urgent. Leo. You need to hear this now. Johnny is with the wounded ones. Leo unlocked the door. Marco slipped inside, his face pale beneath his dark beard. The 2 shooters who survived, Marco whispered, his eyes on Sophia. The one with the bad leg. He talked. He didn't care about honor. He told Johnny the job wasn't about killing Leo. Leo felt a cold dread confirm Sophia's earlier words. What was it about? Marco swallowed hard. He said the only rule was make sure the waitress doesn't get hurt. He was ordered to protect her at all costs. The target was Leo, but if she got in the way, they were to back off. Leo and Sophia both froze. This made no sense. If the hit was about humiliation, why protect the target's quiet, invisible waitress? Sophia lowered the gun slightly. She looked genuinely surprised for the first time. I was the variable, she said, her voice barely audible. They didn't know I would shoot back. Marco shook his head. No. They knew who you were. The shooter said they were specifically told, if the woman acts, let her act. She is on our side. Leo looked at Sophia. His fear turned into a roaring certainty. She wasn't just not his enemy. She was their ally. She had killed Vincenzo, who was the Gallo's accountant. But why? He looked at the stolen bank transfer on the desk. He looked at the dead man on the floor. He looked at the girl with his gun. You saved my life, Leo stated, staring into her eyes. But you are working for the person who set this whole thing up. Sophia didn't answer. She took one step back, closer to the wall. Who is your boss, Sophia? Leo demanded. She tilted her head, a challenge in her posture. My boss is the person who wants you to live, she said. And you need to figure out why, before the rest of your inner circle finds out I'm here. The major plot twist. Sophia is working for the internal faction that wants Leo humiliated, not dead. She is protecting him, but only to serve her unknown boss's agenda. She is now stuck in Leo's office, the most dangerous employee he has ever encountered. The office was hot now. Leo stood up, pacing the small room. He looked less like a mafia boss and more like a caged tiger. Sophia watched him. She still held his gun. The air was thick with mistrust. Who is the accountant? Leo asked, his voice strained. My chief accountant. Sophia shrugged, a casual gesture that infuriated him. A small man. Good with numbers. Bad with loyalty. Leo grabbed his phone. His fingers flew across the screen. He needed to confirm his worst fear. He called his trusted second-in-command, a man named Angelo, who managed the family finances. No answer. Leo tried again. Still nothing. He called Angelo's personal number. It went straight to voicemail. He is gone, Leo, Sophia stated, predicting the result. He packed light. He took only the cash accounts. The ones you keep off the books. How much? Leo demanded. Enough to ruin you. Enough to fund the people who hired Vincenzo. Leo's mind raced. Angelo, his childhood friend, gone. $10 million vanished. The money was not just cash, it was leverage. It was power. It was his entire working fund. Leo slammed the phone onto the desk. Vincenzo was here to clean up Angelo's mess. To kill him. Correct, Sophia confirmed, nodding once. But Angelo didn't show. He was smarter than they thought. So the gunmen improvised. They decided to kill you instead. Why waste the perfect ambush? This was the core humiliation. Leo Moetti, the lion, was not the main target. He was the plan B. A simple decoy. His life was secondary to silencing a mid-level accountant. Why did they try to protect you? Leo asked again, pointing a finger at her. His patience was gone. Sophia finally shifted her focus from the door to Leo. Because I was hunting Angelo too. That revelation stopped Leo cold. You were hunting my accountant. We were all hunting Angelo, Sophia corrected him. He betrayed everyone. He stole from the gallows. He stole from you. He was running to the highest bidder. Leo remembered the bank statement she threw on the desk, the unauthorized transfer. It was a payment to Angelo, not from him. Angelo had been selling Leo's secrets to his rivals. Who is we? Leo asked, leaning down until his face was inches from hers. Sophia held her gaze, showing no fear. The people who hate theft. The people who value order. The people who sent you to be my waitress for 6 months. Leo realized. Sophia's eyes narrowed slightly. The timing was necessary. It's impossible to study the inside without being the inside. Leo stood up straight. He was starting to see the true picture, and it made him feel sick. Every Thursday night, every casual conversation, every smile she withheld, it was all an act. She wasn't just observing him. She was observing everyone around him. You knew the ambush was coming tonight, Leo said, staring at the dead bodies outside the window. I knew a move was coming, she countered. Not the ambush itself. I knew Vincenzo was in the city. I knew Angelo was scheduled for a meeting. I didn't know the exact time or location. So I waited. You waited at my side, Leo pointed out, his voice laced with bitterness. Where else would the action be? She asked simply. Your life is the biggest distraction in this city. Leo walked to the shattered window. He watched Johnny talk into a secure radio. The police wouldn't show up here. The mess would be handled internally. But the damage was done. His credibility was ruined. He began to piece together the terrifying, perfect timeline. Angelo schedules a meeting with Vincenzo, the Gallo family accountant, to sell him the last of Leo's financial data. Angelo then flees with the cash. The hit squad, hired by an internal traitor, shows up. Their primary job, silence Vincenzo, retrieve the data, and make it look like a war between families. Leo is the secondary target, the spectacle. Sophia, who was embedded in Leo's life, knew Angelo was about to break cover. Her job was to track Angelo. You didn't save my life by accident, Leo realized, turning back to her. You killed Vincenzo because he was a liability to your mission. You needed him quiet so you could find Angelo first. Sophia's face remained neutral. The silence was her answer. But if Vincenzo was your target, why didn't you shoot him before the hit started? Leo pressed. Because I didn't have a weapon, Leo. I didn't have your gun. I am not carrying heat when I serve pasta. That is bad business. The logic was flawless. She had waited for the moment of chaos, the ultimate distraction, to take Leo's gun and execute the man she needed to silence. She used the attack on Leo to complete her own mission. Leo walked back to the desk. He felt foolish. He felt exposed. He thought he was untouchable. He thought he was the lion. He was just the bait. "You are still my prisoner," Leo stated. "You have my gun. You have my secrets. You work for my enemy." Sophia finally stepped away from the wall. She looked at him with an intensity that made the hair on his arms rise. "I am a prisoner who just saved your life," she countered. "I am the only person in this city who knows where Angelo went. And I am the only person who knows who inside your circle paid the gunman." She threw his gun back onto the desk. It slid across the smooth wood and stopped right at his hand. Leo slowly picked it up. It felt foreign now. "Keep me a prisoner, Leo," Sophia challenged him. "But if you want your money back, you will need a partner. And my partner works fast." Leo looked from the gun to her face. He was humiliated. He was betrayed. He was financially ruined. And the only person who could fix it was the killer who infiltrated his life. The biggest twist yet, he needed her. Leo and Sophia were now on the move. They left the blooded restaurant to Marco and Gianni. The police would find nothing but a locked building. They drove in Leo's black SUV, speeding toward the city center. Leo was driving. Sophia was in the passenger seat, directing him. "Angelo's hiding spot is secure," Sophia explained. "It's a safe house for runners. Only 3 groups in the city know the code." "And you are one of them," Leo finished, bitterness heavy in his voice. "I was tracking the runner network for my boss," she countered. "Angelo didn't pick it randomly. He picked it because he thought it was untraceable." Leo knew he had to trust her. He had no other lead. The money was gone. His reputation was hanging by a thread. He focused on the present. "What about the gunmen who got away?" Leo asked. "Unimportant," Sophia said. "They were hired muscle. We need the man who hired them. The one who wanted you humiliated." Leo felt the sting of that word again, humiliated. He kept running through his inner circle. Who hated him enough to destroy him slowly, but not quickly? "It can't be Angelo alone," Leo muttered. "Angelo is a mouse. He needed a lion to protect him." Sophia finally looked away from the window. "Then you need to look closer to home, Leo. You need to look at your ghosts." They pulled up outside a tall, dark warehouse. This was Leo's central command. They entered a secure room filled with monitors. 3 technicians were already waiting. Leo didn't need to ask them to work. They just did. "Angelo's bank transfer," Leo commanded the lead tech. "Track the recipient's ghost account. Every connection. Every single name." The tech worked fast. The screen filled with complex financial routing data. It was the mess Angelo had created. The money had bounced through 5 countries in less than 2 hours. "It's being laundered through an old shell company," the tech reported. "A company registered in Dublin. They haven't used it in years." Leo frowned. He knew that shell company. It was an old family asset. Dead for nearly a decade. "Who owns the company?" Leo asked. The tech typed a command. A name flashed on the screen. Vito Moetti. Leo froze. His breath caught in his throat. Vito Moetti. His brother. He had not heard that name in 10 years. Vito was the black sheep. The reckless one. He had tried to steal from the family years ago. Leo's father, and Leo himself, had exiled Vito. They told everyone he was dead. A ghost. Now, the ghost was not only back, but he was holding Leo's wallet. Leo felt the air leave his lungs. This was worse than betrayal. This was a family wound ripped open. "Impossible," Leo whispered. "He's gone. He's dead." "He is the one who wanted you humiliated, Leo," Sophia said, her voice softer than before. "He knows your biggest weakness. You protect the family name above all else." The humiliation became clear. Vito didn't want the empire. He wanted Leo to look weak. He wanted to show everyone that the new lion couldn't control his own brother, his own history. "He knows everything," Leo realized, hitting the desk. "He knows the codes, the accounts, the safe houses. He grew up in this world." Sophia stepped closer to the screen. She looked at the name, Vito Moetti. Her usual hard focus dissolved into something else. Something fragile. He knows where the money is going, she said, her voice strained. He knows where I keep the family history, Leo admitted. The old ledgers, the favors owed. If he has that, he can start a civil war. The tech quickly isolated a recent image tagged to the Dublin account. It was a security photo, grainy and dark. It showed Vito, older, scarred, but unmistakably Vito. He was standing next to a man Leo recognized immediately, the head of the Gallo family. The revelation was a punch to the gut. Vito wasn't just back. He was working directly with the enemy Leo thought he had killed tonight. Leo looked at the screen, consumed by rage. He wanted to find his brother and bury him again. Then he looked at Sophia. Her eyes were fixed on Vito's face on the screen. She looked pale. Her hands were gripping the edge of the desk so tightly her knuckles were white. Her calculated composure was gone. Sophia, Leo said, watching her carefully. What is it? She didn't answer. She took a deep, shuddering breath. It was the first time she looked vulnerable. Do you know him? Leo pressed. Did you know Vito? She slowly shook her head, but it felt like a lie. A practiced movement. You're lying, Leo insisted. You're reacting to this name. You said I needed to look at my ghosts. Why? Sophia finally pulled her gaze from the screen. She looked at Leo, and her eyes were filled with an old, deep pain that matched his own. I know more than you think, Leo, she confessed quietly. I know where Angelo is hiding. But if you go after Vito, you will lose everything. Leo stared at Sophia. He needed to know why she reacted to Vito. He needed to know her angle. Tell me your story, Leo ordered. The real one. Not the one about being a waitress. Sophia hesitated. She ran a hand through her dark, damp hair. The composure was slowly returning, like armor being locked back into place. My name is Elena, she began. She used the Italian pronunciation. I am from Naples. My family owned a small shipping company. It was successful. Too successful. Leo listened, leaning against the cold metal desk. Vito Moetti, she continued, speaking slowly. He used our ships. He forced us to move things. Contraband. We were trapped. My father refused. Vito threatened my mother. My father fought back. She stopped talking. Her eyes were distant. What happened? Leo pushed gently. My father died. It looked like an accident. I know Vito did it. Your family was supposed to protect us. They didn't. When Vito was exiled, I thought the problem was solved. But I lost everything. So you came here for revenge on Vito? Leo asked. No, she said. I came here to find the person who helped Vito set up the shipping routes 10 years ago. I came here to find the other traitor. Leo felt a chill. This was a solid story. It explained the hatred for Vito. It explained why she was embedded in his operation. It explained the quiet training. She was seeking justice for her father. It was a classic, relatable motivation. Who was the other traitor? Angelo, Sophia admitted. He was the numbers man. He set up the shell companies Vito used. I found him first. I didn't plan to kill Vincenzo. I planned to track Angelo. The ambush just forced my hand. Leo stood up. He walked toward her slowly. He looked into her eyes, searching for any tremor, any crack in the story. It was flawless. It satisfied all the questions. Revenge against Vito. A hunt for Angelo. It made her an unlikely, dangerous ally. We go find Angelo, Leo stated. You lead. They left the warehouse. Leo called Marco to meet them at a secure location. But Leo had one small seed of doubt. Her story was too perfect. While driving, Leo made a quiet, secure call. He contacted his best investigator, an old, retired NYPD detective who owed him a favor. Find a shipping company in Naples named Stella Maris, Leo instructed. Find the family who ran it 10 years ago. Check the records for an accident. It took the investigator less than 20 minutes. The silence on the other end of the line was the first warning. Boss, I found Stella Maris, the investigator reported. Run by the Carbone family. The father, Alessandro, died 10 years ago. It was officially ruled a boating accident. Leo felt a surge of relief. Her story was true. And the daughter? Elena? Leo asked. The daughter, the detective scoffed. The Carbone daughter, Elena, died in the same accident as her father. They were both buried in the family plot in 2015. Leo gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. The blood drained from his face. He almost missed the exit ramp. The truth hit him like a physical blow. The name, the story, the motive, it was all a lie. A beautifully constructed, heartbreaking lie. Leo slammed the SUV into a parking spot in an abandoned factory lot. Marco was already waiting outside, gun drawn. Leo turned to Sophia. His face was pure rage. He grabbed her arm. The Carbone daughter is dead, Leo hissed. She died 10 years ago. Who are you, really? Sophia's calm evaporated. Her breath hitched. The fear was real this time. She knew she was cornered. It doesn't matter who I am, she spat back, pulling her arm away. The only thing that matters is that Vito is working with the gallows, and Angelo is running with your money. It matters that you lied to me. Leo roared. You tried to manipulate me with a fake story. Why? Who are you protecting? I'm protecting the only thing that matters, she screamed back. The truth about Vito. Marco, standing outside the car, looked visibly uncomfortable. This was high drama. Leo leaned in, his eyes blazing. If you lie again, I will leave you right here for the Gallo family to find. She didn't flinch. She leaned in too. The anger between them was palpable. It was a strange, dangerous intimacy. Their faces were inches apart. You don't want to know the real truth, Leo, she whispered, her voice cracking. Because the truth about Vito is the truth about your father. The accusation hung in the air, heavy and poisonous. Leo was momentarily stunned. His father? The perfect, honorable lion? She used the second of shock. She reached up and placed her hand on his cheek. Not violently. Not seductively. It was a gesture of profound, heartbreaking pity. I am trying to save you from your own family history, she said, her voice dropping to a near whisper. Don't make me your enemy. The tension peaked. They were so close the argument felt like a shared secret. Leo felt the unexpected warmth of her touch. It was confusing, dangerous, and absolutely magnetic. He almost closed the gap between them. But Leo remembered the dead Carbone daughter. The lie was too big. He pulled back sharply, shaking his head. You think my father was a traitor? Leo scoffed, dismissing the intimacy. Now you sound desperate. Sophia let her hand drop. She settled back into her seat. The calm returned, harder than before. The vulnerability was gone. The money Angelo stole wasn't just yours, Sophia revealed, looking out the window. It was the money Vito gave your father 10 years ago to let him walk away quietly. Leo stared at her. The ultimate betrayal. The money was a secret payment from Vito to his father. An internal ransom. And she knew about it. She knew the most protected, dangerous, humiliating secret of the Moetti dynasty. She knew a truth that could only come from someone who was inside the family, not just a casual observer. Leo realized the full horror. This woman wasn't Elena Carbone. She was something much, much deeper. And whatever she was protecting, be it her true identity or her true boss, she was willing to kill, lie, and risk everything for it. Leo pulled the SUV back onto the road. He drove faster now. He wasn't thinking about traffic. He was thinking about betrayal. The daughter died 10 years ago, Leo repeated, his voice dangerously even. You are not Elena Carbone. Who are you? Sophia didn't deny it. She finally looked at him, accepting the truth was out. The lie was safer for both of us, she stated. It gave me a simple motive, revenge. If you knew the truth, you would have killed me hours ago. Try me, Leo snarled. Sophia took a deep breath. She knew this was the end of the game. This isn't about Vito taking your place, she began. Vito doesn't want your empire. He wants to burn it down. This is a silent war. It's between the men who created the rules and the men who want to erase them. Leo scoffed. I know about the Gallo family war. No, you don't, Sophia countered, sharp and definitive. You think it's about territory today. It's not. It's about what happened 30 years ago. She revealed the real scope of the danger. The ambush wasn't just a hit. It was an extraction attempt. The Gallo family wanted Angelo, the accountant. They didn't want him dead. They wanted him alive. Why Angelo? Leo asked. Because he holds the evidence, Sophia explained. The documents. Angelo didn't just steal money. He copied the old ledgers. The ones that prove your father and the head of the Gallo family orchestrated the biggest political assassination in city history 3 decades ago. Leo's mind reeled. An assassination? His father was a businessman. It was covered up as a car crash, Sophia pressed. But Angelo knows where the proof is hidden. If those documents leak, it's not just you. It's the end of both families. All of us go to federal prison. The ambush made perfect sense now. Vito and the Gallos wanted the documents to protect themselves. They needed Angelo quiet, or they needed the documents recovered. Vincenzo was there to stop Angelo from leaking the files to a journalist, Sophia clarified. They thought Angelo was going public. And you? Leo demanded. Where do you fit in with a decades-old crime? Sophia hesitated. She pressed her fingers against her temples. This was the vulnerable part. I am not working for Vito, she said, her voice dropping. I am working for the people Angelo was running to. They were his last hope. You were Angelo's escort, Leo realized. You weren't hunting him. You were protecting him. You were supposed to deliver him and the documents to a safe harbor. Sophia nodded slowly. The admission felt heavy. The ambush tonight was meant for Angelo, she confirmed. He was supposed to be eating dinner at La Maria, making the final drop. The gunmen were there to intercept him, take the documents, and kill him. But Angelo didn't show up, Leo finished. He got spooked. And I, the good little lion, showed up right on time. You were bait, Sophia said. Perfect, expensive bait. When Angelo didn't arrive, they figured killing you would cause enough chaos to flush Angelo out of hiding. Leo pulled into the deserted parking garage that Sophia had directed him to. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Marco pulled in behind them. Leo turned off the engine. Silence descended. It was deafening. You saved my life, Leo said, his voice flat. But only because you needed me to survive. You needed the chaos I would create. You needed me to stay alive so I could keep Vito distracted. Sophia couldn't meet his eyes. She looked small now, tired. The killer instinct was temporarily masked by exhaustion. Tell me the truth about Angelo, Leo insisted. Why risk your life? Why this elaborate lie? Is he your lover? Your partner? Sophia's head snapped up. Her eyes were suddenly swimming with tears. The composure shattered completely. She covered her face with her hands and let out a choked sound, not a scream, but a deep, agonizing whimper. She struggled to regain control. Leo watched, stunned. This was the first true emotion he had ever seen from her. It was not anger or focus. It was pain. Angelo is not my lover, she finally choked out, wiping her eyes quickly. He is just a man who is terrified. Leo pushed her. He needed the personal connection. Everyone is terrified, Sophia. Why do you care? Because he is the only one left, she said, her voice breaking. He is the only one who didn't forget. She lowered her hands. Her eyes were red. 10 years ago, when the political assassination happened, Sophia explained, the words rushed and desperate. It wasn't just the politician who died. It was an entire team of people who knew the truth. My family, my real family, was on that team. Leo stared at her. His mind worked furiously. The political assassination. The cover-up. The deaths. You're one of the victims' families, Leo whispered, the realization hitting him. I was 8 years old, Sophia admitted, the lie of Elena Carbone completely erased. My parents were murdered because they got too close to your father's secret. Angelo was an intern back then. He saw everything. He was the only one who spoke up. They threatened his family. He went silent. He became your accountant to hide. She looked at Leo, her voice now dangerously low. Angelo has carried the guilt of their deaths for 10 years. He is the reason I am alive. He protected me then, and I am protecting him now. Leo finally understood. This wasn't a rivalry. This was a war for justice, and Angelo was the key witness. Sophia wasn't a hired gun. She was a deeply traumatized survivor protecting the only decent man in Leo's corrupt world. You need him alive to expose my father, Leo said. The magnitude of the betrayal, the historical crime, and Sophia's singular focus was overwhelming. I need him alive to end this war, Sophia corrected him. She stared straight ahead. You were the distraction, Leo. Now you are the roadblock. We have to move faster than your brother. Leo looked at the fierce determination in her face. She was ready to face Vito, the gallows, and Leo himself if he got in her way. She had risked everything for a man who represented her only chance at peace. He had misjudged her entirely. She had no interest in his empire. She only wanted the truth. Where is he? Leo asked, finally yielding. Where is Angelo hiding with the documents? Sophia took a moment, recovering her strength. He's in a forgotten building, Leo. A place your family has owned for 50 years. A place your brother knows better than anyone. Leo was silent. He processed the truth. His father, the revered lion who built the empire, was a murderer and a blackmailer. The shame was suffocating. Where is Angelo? Leo asked, his voice rough. He needed to focus on action. The old warehouse complex, Sophia replied. The one near the river. Your family stopped using it in the 90s. I know the spot, Leo said. It was a maze of rusted metal and forgotten history. Vito knows it too. Why there? It has a hidden bunker. A safe room built during Prohibition. Only your father, Vito, and one other person knew the code. Sophia gave him the code. Leo recognized the numbers instantly. They were the birth dates of his mother and father, and the date the family first bought the entire waterfront. He felt a wave of nausea. You know the code, Leo stated, staring at her. How? Sophia finally let her guard drop completely. She met his eyes, and the look was one of profound sadness. I know more than the code, Leo, she confessed. I know the bunker's original purpose. Sophia began to speak, and every word was a stone dropped into Leo's past. The warehouse wasn't just a building. It was where Vito and you played as kids. Before you knew what the business was. Before your father sent Vito away. Leo remembered flashes. Dust motes in the light, the smell of brine and oil, and a small, terrified figure hiding behind stacked crates. He thought he was alone in those memories. We knew each other, Leo, Sophia said, her voice barely a whisper. Not as Sophia the waitress. We knew each other as children. Leo shook his head violently. No. I had no friends like that. Just Vito. And Marco sometimes. I was there with Vito, she insisted. My mother worked in the office complex next door. She was the one your father used to deliver messages. I was small. I was quiet. You and Vito played hide-and-seek near the docks. You used to share your juice box with me. Leo gripped the steering wheel. He felt a dizzying sense of déjà vu. A small girl with large, dark eyes. He had pushed the memory away. He always assumed she was a dock worker's kid. Who was your mother? Leo demanded. She was the witness, Sophia revealed. The one who saw your father and the gallows boss planning the hit 30 years ago. Angelo was her junior assistant. When they killed the politician, my mother started copying the proof. She hid the evidence in the bunker. She thought the code was safe. The revelation slammed into him. Sophia wasn't just a victim's relative. She was the daughter of the primary witness his father silenced. My father had her killed, Leo breathed out, the truth almost unbearable. Not just her, Sophia said, the tears finally flowing freely down her cheeks. Vito was the one who found her. He told your father. He betrayed her to prove his loyalty. Vito and your father killed my mother and father on the same day. This was the moral collapse. Leo wasn't fighting an enemy anymore. He was fighting the dark legacy of his own family. Vito didn't just hate Leo. Vito hated Leo because Leo represented the favor Vito committed 10 years ago, the sacrifice of innocent lives to save his own skin. You stayed here, waiting for the evidence to surface, Leo summarized, his mind working through the agony. 10 years ago, when the political assassination happened, Sophia explained, the words rushed and desperate. It wasn't just the politician who died. It was an entire team of people who knew the truth. My family, my real family, was on that team. Leo stared at her. His mind worked furiously. The political assassination. The cover-up. The deaths. You're one of the victims' families, Leo whispered, the realization hitting him. I was 8 years old, Sophia admitted, the lie of Elena Carbone completely erased. My parents were murdered because they got too close to your father's secret. Angelo was an intern back then. He saw everything. He was the only one who spoke up. They threatened his family. He went silent. He became your accountant to hide. She looked at Leo, her voice now dangerously low. Angelo has carried the guilt of their deaths for 10 years. He is the reason I am alive. He protected me then, and I am protecting him now. Leo finally understood. This wasn't a rivalry. This was a war for justice, and Angelo was the key witness. Sophia wasn't a hired gun. She was a deeply traumatized survivor protecting the only decent man in Leo's corrupt world. You need him alive to expose my father, Leo said. The magnitude of the betrayal, the historical crime, and Sophia's singular focus was overwhelming. I need him alive to end this war, Sophia corrected him. She stared straight ahead. You were the distraction, Leo. Now you are the roadblock. We have to move faster than your brother. Leo looked at the fierce determination in her face. She was ready to face Vito, the gallows, and Leo himself if he got in her way. She had risked everything for a man who represented her only chance at peace. He had misjudged her entirely. She had no interest in his empire. She only wanted the truth. Where is he? Leo asked, finally yielding. Where is Angelo hiding with the documents? Sophia took a moment, recovering her strength. He's in a forgotten building, Leo. A place your family has owned for 50 years. A place your brother knows better than anyone. Leo was silent. He processed the truth. His father, the revered lion who built the empire, was a murderer and a blackmailer. The shame was suffocating. Where is Angelo? Leo asked, his voice rough. He needed to focus on action. The old warehouse complex, Sophia replied. The one near the river. Your family stopped using it in the 90s. I know the spot, Leo said. It was a maze of rusted metal and forgotten history. Vito knows it too. Why there? It has a hidden bunker. A safe room built during Prohibition. Only your father, Vito, and one other person knew the code. Sophia gave him the code. Leo recognized the numbers instantly. They were the birth dates of his mother and father, and the date the family first bought the entire waterfront. He felt a wave of nausea. You know the code, Leo stated, staring at her. How? Sophia finally let her guard drop completely. She met his eyes, and the look was one of profound sadness. I know more than the code, Leo, she confessed. I know the bunker's original purpose. Sophia began to speak, and every word was a stone dropped into Leo's past. The warehouse wasn't just a building. It was where Vito and you played as kids. Before you knew what the business was. Before your father sent Vito away. Leo remembered flashes. Dust motes in the light, the smell of brine and oil, and a small, terrified figure hiding behind stacked crates. He thought he was alone in those memories. We knew each other, Leo, Sophia said, her voice barely a whisper. Not as Sophia the waitress. We knew each other as children. Leo shook his head violently. No. I had no friends like that. Just Vito. And Marco sometimes. I was there with Vito, she insisted. My mother worked in the office complex next door. She was the one your father used to deliver messages. I was small. I was quiet. You and Vito played hide-and-seek near the docks. You used to share your juice box with me. Leo gripped the steering wheel. He felt a dizzying sense of déjà vu. A small girl with large, dark eyes. He had pushed the memory away. He always assumed she was a dock worker's kid. Who was your mother? Leo demanded. She was the witness, Sophia revealed. The one who saw your father and the gallows boss planning the hit 30 years ago. Angelo was her junior assistant. When they killed the politician, my mother started copying the proof. She hid the evidence in the bunker. She thought the code was safe. The revelation slammed into him. Sophia wasn't just a victim's relative. She was the daughter of the primary witness his father silenced. My father had her killed, Leo breathed out, the truth almost unbearable. Not just her, Sophia said, the tears finally flowing freely down her cheeks. Vito was the one who found her. He told your father. He betrayed her to prove his loyalty. Vito and your father killed my mother and father on the same day. This was the moral collapse. Leo wasn't fighting an enemy anymore. He was fighting the dark legacy of his own family. Vito didn't just hate Leo. Vito hated Leo because Leo represented the favor Vito committed 10 years ago, the sacrifice of innocent lives to save his own skin. You stayed here, waiting for the evidence to surface, Leo summarized, his mind working through the agony.